This has been a 10-year process. My partner Ron Yerkes and I got the script. Bob Nelson wrote it. It was his first screenplay. He was on a comedy sketch show up in Seattle, and when the show ended, he figured he wanted to write a screenplay. This is it. It's very autobiographical, and he gave it to a woman named Julie Thompson, who was our executive producer. She knew Ron. She sent it down to us, and we read it, and we really responded to both the humor and the the great characters and the emotion of the script. And initially, we thought we had worked with Alexander Payne on Election, and we thought that he might be a very good executive producer. We didn't think that he would. We thought the script was going to be too small and intimate for him. He had done Sideways and About Schmidt after Election, and we didn't think he'd do this. But ultimately, he called us back. We thought he'd be an executive producer, and he called us back and he said, I've got a good idea for a director. How about me? And so that was the good news. The bad news was he didn't want to do 3 road trip movies in a row. And Alexander's very first conversation with us, he said 2 things about the script. He wanted to shoot it in black and white, and he thought that Bruce Dern would make a great Woody.
Now, Bruce, you have said that this is the best role you've ever been offered.
This is true.
This is true. And why? Why is this the best role?
I think I was in the right place at the right time. I think it was important to me that I got an opportunity to do a lot of stuff that I'd never done before in my career. It's been a long time since I've been in a studio movie. It's been a long time since I've been on the road and gone down a road like we did with this at Cannes, where I was absolutely shocked at the reception, and especially toward me as well as the movie. He was fabulous. The first day he told me, he asked me if I noticed anything I hadn't seen before on opening day, if you will. And I said, yeah, everybody seems to be pulling their oar at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not used to seeing that. And he said, well, hopefully that's because we have 85 crew members here and 47 have worked every day on every movie I've ever made. So right away, you have a family, you're backed. He said, so you always like to use the phrase, dare to risk. You can dare to risk with us because we have your back. And then he said to me, don't show us anything, Bruce. Let us find it. And that was the key to what I do in the movie. I had found a partner who said to me, you don't need to push, you don't need to perform.
You don't need to reach out to the camera.
No, just let the camera find your behavior. And that's very similar to what I did when I began with Mr. Kazan, same thing. It's a culmination of what I want to do. Do I have more to do? A lot more I want to do. I have no desire to direct really or anything but act. There's a lot of things I want to do. I'm 77. I got a lot of game left, I think.
You're still running?
Oh, yeah, every day. And that's a whole nother sickness I have. But that's...
what was the big challenge of this role for you?
The challenge for me was, number one, the biggest victory I can ever get from this movie is getting the part. I mean, let's face it.
That people put it on your shoulders. That Alexander...
Oh, no, not put it on my shoulders.
Okay.
Chose me.
Chose you.
Allowed me to play the role. That's where it all began for me. It's a lot of times when I've even been the star of movies where I was not choice number 1. Silent Running, I was the 17th person they went to. So I am not used to being stepped forward and say, come be one of the jefes in a movie. But what it was wonderful for was that it was the fact he gives you tremendous teammates. I mean, look at this.
Well, June, tell us, when did you step in? Obviously, you were in About Schmidt, so you've
wasn't
worked with
About
Alexander
Schmidt,
before.
But I think that the women are so different that I don't know that Alexander thought of me for Kate. I don't know when, but I know he was seeing women in L.A. and New York, and finally he called my agent and said or someone from his office did, and said they had to see June. He had to see June immediately. So I was in New York and couldn't see him, so they asked if I would tape some scenes from it, and I did.
Which
And
scenes did they ask you to tape, or what?
well,
which ones?
anything I wanted to, but I of course chose the cemetery
Right.
scene.
Is that now the signature scene in your career, do you
I think it is. I think it is. I chose that and the bus scene. The bus scene when I come in, on the bus with
Right.
these two. And I think he saw that and finally saw that I could do it, that it was within my realm as an actress. And those early scenes of mine, I'm a true nag. And, you see why he might want to
Walk
leave
down the
and
highway?
go down the highway and get the $1 million. And and I think that Bob did that. And I think that he told me, I didn't know this, it's his mother-in-law. That it was this role is based on Bob's mother-in-law. And I'm sure he saw some good things in her. And I think that's probably why he gave them to me. The ability to show you that I would, protect them with my life.
Thomas Wolfe once said, "You can't go home again, you must go home again." And when I went home again, it's the same way if I go home now. The reason you have to go back is because it reminds you and re-educates you of who they were, who gave you the opportunities they gave you, how they dealt with you, and how you dealt with them. And I came away with two very strong feelings. Number one is make sure in your life that if you have people like this in your life, you hug them before it's too late. And you tell them exactly what you feel about them before it's too late. And that's number one. And number two is the writer, Bob Nelson, did something for all of us, but for me in this movie I've never had done before. I made a career out of embroidering my role so that people might see who I was in a movie after they got through with the 8 leads.
Right.
And
The fifth cowboy from the left.
you got
Right.
it. And so in this movie there was no embroidery at all by me. And what Bob
Plain
Nelson,
stitching.
no, right, and what and actually no performing. I didn't feel I ever was performing. And what he does is in the old house, when we go into the first room, I say it's my room, and June says this is where David, his little brother, died, and Will says to me, "Do you remember that, Dad?" Now, we've all seen a line like that answered 100 times,
Right.
but nobody writes on the page, "I was there."
Right.
Big stuff.
I've never been on a movie before where the actors, just were so happy to be there and saw this as such an opportunity and kind of set the stage for everybody else. I think it was great roles for everybody. It was a big opportunity for Will Forte
yeah.
to
Is it Forte?
to do a dramatic role and Stacy
And he blows
Keach.
everybody out of the water because he's so still.
Absolutely, he's really the eyes of the audience, and he does a lovely job with it, and also Bob Odenkirk.
Right,
Everybody was
yeah.
just really happy for the opportunity, and it kind of permeated across the board.
The thing that touched me the most about Will, just taking off right on that point, was he sacrificed a familiar way of working for 20 years where he's made a good living, where he's been funny, where he's risen up to the top level of what he
Right.
does in order to take risks and go back and be the linchpin of a movie and just trust that the camera would find him if he was simple truth, if he just was who he was. And for him to do that in his mid-40s after
Right.
a 20-year success was really amazing to me. I admire his courage, and I mark him outside of Jack Nicholson as probably the best partner I've ever had in front of a
Wow.
camera for a long period
That's
of time.
high praise.
Well, he learned to look and listen and respond from what he saw in front of him. I never caught him acting in the movie. A lot of audiences we've had, they don't know if it's right to laugh at the very beginning. Like when I poke a point or something like that, or the first scene where, about trusting the mail with $1 million.
Right.
I've seen audiences, particularly in Cannes, that were just like upright in their seats, and all of a sudden, 10 minutes later, they're into it. And our biggest excitement, both June and Albert will tell you, the immediacy of the reaction in Cannes was unbelievable. I mean, they
Yeah.
kind of exploded as soon as the movie ended. And they were watching it with subtitles. So we all knew kind of that, well, they get it here. Imagine what they might do. And we have yet to show it in Omaha. Just imagine
Really?
what they might do.
It'll really
Coming
play.
up.